Today, we're diving into the absolutely incredible story of a true national icon, Korean cattle, or Hanwoo. It's a journey that takes an animal so revered it was literally considered a member of the family and turns it into a world-famous delicacy. So, how on earth did a sacred partner in the fields end up as a premium dish on the table? Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's start with the heart of the story right here. It's this dramatic contrast. On one side, you've got the Hanwoo as gajuk, which means family, an absolutely essential partner for farming. And on the other side, it's umshik, or food, a luxury dish. This one shift from family to food tells you pretty much everything you need to know about Korea's transformation over the last century.
All right, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the cow's sacred status. Then, we'll see how a whole nation suddenly started demanding meat. After that, we'll get into how the beef industry was built from scratch and the revolution that caused on the dinner table. And finally, we have to look at the price of all this progress.
So, let's rewind the clock. You have to understand just how deeply connected Koreans were to their cattle. In the old agricultural society, Hanwoo were so much more than just livestock. I mean, they were the engine that kept everything running.
And this term right here, sengu, it says it all. It literally means a living mouth, which meant the cow was counted as a member of the household. They were the family's single most important asset, living in barns built right next to the home. And get this, on holidays, they'd even be served special meals, just like everyone else in the family.
And this just shows you how serious it was. During the Joseon dynasty, killing a cow wasn't just a crime, it was basically sabotage against the whole community. The punishment? Exile and enslavement for your entire family shows you exactly how critical these animals were. Why? Because one cow did the work of several men. Without it, the whole village could literally starve.
So, with this incredibly powerful taboo in place, beef was the ultimate luxury. There's this famous Korean phrase, "ibop egugigug," which means meat soup with white rice. For the average person, that simple meal was the dream. It was the absolute definition of wealth and comfort, something you might only hope to have once in your entire life.
So, if eating beef was this huge taboo, backed by law and tradition, what happened? How did that all start to fall apart? Well, the answer is a perfect storm of three huge historical events in the 20th century that created this unstoppable hunger for meat.
Okay, so first, during the Japanese occupation, old customs were weakened and native cattle breeds were plundered for the war. Then, the Korean War just devastated what was left of the cattle population. And finally, the big one, the economic miracle of the 1960s. All of a sudden, city incomes were soaring, and this massive pent-up demand for protein, especially beef, was just unleashed.
And this number, wow, it just perfectly illustrates that surging demand. In the mid-60s, Seoul had about 650 butcher shops. By 1974, that number had exploded to over 1,700. The city's infrastructure was literally racing to keep up with its brand new appetite for meat.
Now, this explosion in demand did not go unnoticed. The government jumped in with a really ambitious national plan to completely transform the Hanwoo. But, to turn a farming partner into an industrial product, you first have to change how people think about it. And that started with changing the language itself.
So this is absolutely key. The government officially started calling Hanwoo gogiso, the meat cow, instead of nongo, the working cow. Now, this wasn't just about changing a word. It was a powerful signal that completely redefined the animal's place in society. The Hanwoo's main job was no longer plowing fields, it was feeding a hungry nation.
And to make this new vision a reality, the government just poured money into the countryside. They rolled out these massive low-interest loan programs to get farmers to raise cattle, and the results, they were immediate. Look at this. In 1982, about 45% of farm households were raising cattle. Just 3 years later, in 85, that number had jumped to 57%.
This popular saying from the 80s just perfectly captures the cow's new role. The Hanwoo became like a living, breathing bank account. It was the economic engine that funded a family's dreams for a better future, sending their kids to college and helping them build new homes.
But okay, raising millions more cattle, that was only half the battle. How do you get all that beef from the farm to somebody's plate safely and efficiently? Well, that meant building a whole modern system basically from the ground up.
Yeah, this required a complete overhaul. Let's walk through the key steps. It really started in 1959 with the first modern refrigerated slaughterhouse. Then, in '62, new laws came in that required sanitary processing for all livestock. By the '70s, you have the cold chain, a whole network of refrigerated trucks and storage, making it possible to ship fresh meat all over the country. And the final piece of the puzzle? That came in 1992, with the formal grading system that officially created the premium Hanwoo brand we all know today.
And as beef got more accessible and reliable, a whole new dining culture just exploded onto the scene. Back in the 60s, a family trip to a bulgogi restaurant was a huge deal. By the 80s, as people had more money, the more expensive sogalbi, or grilled rib restaurants, were booming everywhere. Hanwoo had officially moved out of the home and into the city. It became the centerpiece of celebrations and social life.
Now, this whole transformation from farm animal to industrial product was, in many ways, an undeniable success story. But, and there's always a but, this incredibly rapid, government-driven industrialization, well, it came with costs. It created a whole new set of challenges for farmers, for the environment, and for the animals themselves.
In the mid-1980s, that aggressive government push for more and more production finally backfired, big time. Farmers, who were encouraged to take on massive debts, had raised so many cattle that a huge surplus flooded the market, and prices just collapsed by over 50%. This was the Sogap Padong, the great cattle price crash, and it absolutely devastated farming families. Many of them lost everything.
That crash was a really harsh lesson. The intense focus on mass production brought some serious side effects that we're still dealing with today. You've got farmers caught in these painful cycles of boom and bust. You have the environmental challenges that come with intensive farming. And of course, there's the big ethical question. What does it mean when an animal goes from being a living mouth in the family to just a unit of production in a modern food system?
And that leaves us with this final thought. Hanwoo beef is, without a doubt, a powerful symbol of South Korea's economic success and a source of national pride. But as we enjoy this symbol of prosperity, its incredible journey from sacred partner to industrial product forces us to ask, what is the right balance between abundance, sustainability, and the value of life itself? And where do we all go from here?